Next topic is gear.
Lovely.
I had to go for it, right?
Yeah.
Is there a massive difference between someone that is natural and someone that is enhanced?
Is there a difference? Yes.
In what context? What is the fundamental difference?
There are a few.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Storytime. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please do not forget to like and subscribe. Today, we have someone in studio that I've actually known for quite a while. Good friend of mine, Rain out of Durbanville, powerlifter, competitive powerlifter, gym owner. You've done a lot of bodybuilding style stuff as well.
Yep.
One of the most informative professional people within the space of training and fitness in general. We have Taulu Kriel, otherwise known as TK, with us in studio. Taulu, thank you so much for being here. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much.
Thank you, man. Thank you for having me. Yeah. I'm excited.
Happy to do this, dude.
Yeah, it's going to be fun.
We've been wanting to do an episode together for quite a while.
Yes, we have.
I've popped by Genesis, your gym. We'll put all the links below. Go check out that gym. If you want to get into powerlifting or dead serious lifting in any way, go check that link below. Love the gym. What an awesome space you've created. We were saying earlier before we started recording, there's not much access for people in South Africa to the facilities needed to be an incredible strength athlete, right?
Yeah.
So before we get into, we went through the list. We got how many different topics for this chat?
So many.
It's going to be a chat.
Yeah.
But how did you get into powerlifting and why?
Yeah, this was about 11 years ago. I started training in general, kind of just wanted to lose weight, look a little bit better, etc., just like most people. And I'd say 2016, just doing a little bit of heavy lifting at the gym, and I enjoyed training heavy, typically. Some random guy came up to me, I can't even remember who it was. It was a long time ago, but he came up to me, told me I'm pretty strong for my age, I should do a powerlifting competition. I was like, okay, let me try one. Signed up for one, enjoyed it. I did pretty well. And then I was like, cool, let me give it a go. And honestly, for me, it was always just, I enjoyed training.
Yeah.
I enjoyed the training, wasn't too concerned about what other people were doing or the competitive industry, just enjoyed it. Kind of carried on and eventually got a little bit more involved in the community. Yeah, and then kind of just got into it through that.
Yeah.
Made some friends, kind of reeled people in a little bit, started coaching, and kind of just kicked off.
Yeah, we were, again, saying earlier, I think the fitness community has become, and I'm generalizing, but has become, I want to be the biggest, most jacked person in the room, and I want to be that now.
Now, yeah.
Right now.
Yeah.
Not tomorrow, right now. And it's brought about a whole lot of different trends that we see online, trends, maybe not the right word, into people are desperately trying to look and perform a certain way. Do you think that approach of when I'm 30 or if I put foundation in, do you think that's missing and that is one of the ideals for a high performance athlete?
So to the latter, yes. I think that would be the ideal, in my opinion. I think we nowadays disregard the kind of powerful aspect of sticking to something for a very long time. Because yes, there are better ways to approach your training, your nutrition. There are things that work, I guess, quicker than other ways to be able to get to a particular goal, but everything takes time. And depending, if you're an absolute genetic freak, go for it, do your thing, be the best in a year or two's time. It doesn't matter, but if you want to stick it out to see what you could possibly be achieving, give yourself at least 10 years.
Yeah.
At least. I find that most people don't really see the fitness industry as any other industry. It's kind of very segregate. And for some reason, people just have a completely different outlook on it, where, any other field of study or any other industry, it's years and years and years to kind of work your way to the top. It's no different.
Yeah.
You need to be consistent with what you're doing, put in the work day in and day out.
The bench, the deadlift, and the squat.
Yeah.
Let's start right at base level.
Cool.
What are your suggestions and takes on those three movements? Because nowadays, with the input of what they call science-based lifting, I think people have started weighing up risk to reward on compound lifts and going, it's just not worth it for me to deadlift. And they just stop.
Yeah.
I would imagine you want someone that agrees with that approach.
There are multiple factors. I mean, I can get into it.
Yeah.
Look, let me also say off the bat, I think there's a lot that I can share, but probably the biggest thing that I've come to terms with my kind of journey with this whole knowledge accumulating thing is anything definitive is a good sign that someone's actually not paid enough attention, in my opinion. Meaning, if I'm very, very fixated on this is the way it goes, and there's nothing that's, can refute that, it's like, okay, whoa. Because we just don't know that much yet to be able to make such definitive statements. So everything needs to be taken with a pinch of salt.
Great take, dude. Okay.
So yeah, I mean, anything that I share as well, it's like, cool, this is the conclusion that I've come to with my limited knowledge. Never stop being on that search for more and more and more. So let me just put that out there as a little bit of a disclaimer.
There we go.
But yes, so I think this whole risk to reward ratio, at the end of the day, everyone knows that the uncomfortable, hard things will develop you in multiple areas, not just like becoming a better athlete in this particular avenue, but just being, a more developed, healthy human being. So when it comes to squat, bench, and deadlift, I would say, I think people get too caught up in this whole, it's too fatiguing. We need to manage fatigue. And yes, that is a role that we need to that's something we need to consider in training, but there's so many factors that kind of influence us. I mean, if you're going to be so pedantic, you might as well say that, my 10 minutes that I couldn't sleep last night compared to what I usually sleep is going to influence my training today. I need to do one less rep or one less set.
That's a lot.
So if you're going to be pedantic with the training, you need to be pedantic with everything else as well.
Okay.
You can't pick and choose. So that's my opinion. I think there is definitely something to be said about the theoretical side to it. We'll get into the nitty gritty, but I think people get very caught up in training being very much just it's your muscular system, fat loss, muscular development. We forget about the nervous system at times, and especially in powerlifting, it plays a massive role. And the reason we put it to the side a bit is because that's probably one of the aspects of the body that we know the least about.
Okay.
Is the nervous system.
Drinking an ox hydrate feels like.
Is there no one else? Give it up for Still
Let's get back to the show.
Yeah.
How would you suggest people do that?
Bring in the central nervous system aspect.
Yeah.
To be honest, there's a lot more of a holistic approach than I think anyone realizes. So what I mean by that is I love to put it this way. When it comes to strength is an expression. We can express strength on a rugby field. We can express strength in the gym with a squat or a bench or deadlift. We can express strength in an octagon. It really depends on what things look like. And the nervous system is going to adapt to whatever it's consistently exposed to. Just like a golf swing. You do it over and over and over again, and eventually your body gets into a rhythm. That's some aspect of the nervous system and coordination, kind of setting this system up in the brain and how these action potentials run down the neurons to be able to do the same thing over and over again becomes second nature. Like that's a whole nervous system kind of idea, right? But strength is purely an expression. It's like, what environment are we putting ourselves in to express strength? Because I can be a fantastic rugby player and come into the gym and I'll be strong, but some powerlifter that's half my size can out-squat me or out-bench me, out-deadlift me. Same thing other way around. I can be a fantastic powerlifter and break all the records in my weight class. I hop onto a rugby field and I'll get absolutely smashed because I'm not a rugby player. And strength needs to be expressed differently on the rugby field than under a squat bar. So it's purely the sense of what are you exposing yourself to be able to make the necessary adaptations from a nervous system standpoint to be able to express strength better and to be able to utilize whatever muscle fibers you've got better, because it's not just about having X amount of muscle tissue. You need to be able to
utilize it.
Exactly.
Yeah. To make that relevant for the people listening, let's apply it to bench, deadlift, squat in closing on this topic. What would be your one piece of advice or your best tip for each of those three movements?
I'd probably give one tip for all three.
Ooh.
And then as well
Okay.
for each. The one tip holistically, I would say, is any rep that you are doing that is not, from a technical standpoint, like executed well, it's just not going to be to your benefit. So just going through the motions is not going to do much. So treat it like you are practicing for a sport. Doesn't mean every rep has to be perfect, because that also doesn't exist. But it needs to be intentional, with the intention of being able to replicate good execution over and over and over again. I mean, it's the same thing with golf, right? It doesn't help you go onto the, onto the field, onto the courts.
Onto the course. Yeah, I'm with you.
And you keep missing the ball, and you go, that was a good day. You actually need to hit it, right?
Okay.
So it's the same thing. It doesn't matter. I mean, it's the same idea with, you get these athletes that are, this is very much a notorious thing where people don't squat to depth and they just claim it like, oh, it'll be there on competition day. It's like a very notorious thing.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
People don't hit depth. They post it on social media and they go, wasn't the depth, but it'll be there on meet day. And it's like, cool, show us.
That depth is going to hurt on the day.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
And you are practicing the wrong sport, because in our sport, you need to squat to depth. So if you're not practicing squatting to depth, you're really going to be doing something completely different to what you've been training for on the day, where you need to squat to depth. Anyway, from squat, bench, and deadlift specifically, it really depends on the lifter. Some people are natural squatters. They can just like drop down. Other people like myself, it's a very, very uncomfortable movement to do, and I need to learn to do it well. So I would also say whatever lifts feel the most uncomfortable, first learn to make it comfortable. Do whatever mobility work you need to do, pack on whatever muscle mass you need to pack on in different areas to be able to make it a more comfortable, natural movement pattern, so that it's not so much of a thinking process when you do it under the bar. But at the same time, muscle mass, to be honest, I don't think it's really much of each lift as a separate kind of isolated variable that we need to tackle, and there's different things for different elements. Like, they all pretty much require the same things. They just look different depending on what it is that each individual struggles with. So you need the muscle mass, you need the coordination, you need the practice.
You need that repetition.
Yeah.
Can you substitute in this way? I'm guilty of this. I won't want to squat because my lower back hurts afterwards, or I get knee pain, which means I'm doing something wrong to some extent, right?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
But carry on.
Okay.
Carry on. Finish up.
I like that take, because it makes me sound like I'm not a doers. Okay. So is there place for substitution in the context of I'm not going to free weight squat, so I'm going to hack or Smith squat?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So look, it depends what your goal is, right? If you want to pack on muscle mass on your quads, I would say if what is limiting you in the squat with a barbell is your lower back, you might feel like you are squatting till failure or your set is till failure, but what is actually failing? Because if your back is bottlenecking you in your set, your quads could potentially be pumping out a couple more reps, but it's limited by the weakest link.
Okay.
Right? So then jumping on a hack squat that's more stable, doesn't require as much of your lower back kind of, having all of the stress, you can confidently keep going and know that my quads are the one, that's what's failing me. That's what's causing me to need to stop the set. So,
okay, I'm with you.
But even in the strength realm, right? Even as a powerlifter, that's how we utilize variability in training. And we'll get into all of that when we think about structuring a strength block. But I mean, if you go in for 1 day of squatting, right, I don't have to do 6 sets of squats and struggle my arse off for that 5th or 6th set just because my low back is hurting. I could do the first 3 sets with a normal competition squat, and the other 3 do like a high bar or a hack squat or something else where I can continue to push the areas that can take it, but not necessarily go like over and above and kind of run myself down into the ground.
I understand. Okay. Well, dude, great transition you're making there into, is phase potentiation the correct terminology to use?
Yes.
Yes, Josh, intelligence. So, because
Just a quick Google search.
yeah, literally. So it's because of Ryan, my mate from Canada, looking at phase potentiation, looking at strength blocks, looking at, as I wrote it here, how to program in volume, intensity, and frequency. I know it's a really big question, but you're really good at this side of it, because every time I see you at the gym, I ask you about it. You mentioned like 6 sets of squats.
Yeah.
Having the option to shift and change the way you do those 6 sets. How do you fit that kind of thing into strength blocks? And what is strength blocks for those that don't know how you break down your year?
Okay, here we go.
Big question, sorry. Yeah.
No, this is lovely. So
I'm going to crack this quickly as well, sorry.
We pretty much want to start off. Cheers, brother. I've actually never tried this, so I'm pretty keen to know how it tastes like.
This is a solid flavor, dude.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I got some lemon lime in there, bro.
Don't forget the carbonated reverse osmosis water. Not that I know what that means.
I don't know what that means either. I just it tastes good. Thank you, Knox.
Yeah, that's actually quite nice. Anyway.
Shout out. We need to get a fridge of that in your gym.
Yeah. All right, so strength block. Again, strength block, the idea is strength, right? We want to express strength. So anything that's limiting us from doing that, we want to remove. Anything that's going to benefit us in that regard, we want to throw in. So it's a matter of what's at play. That's why we wouldn't do a strength block with just all the volume in the world that we could possibly recover from and no more, because that might hold us back from a total recovery resources standpoint. Because talking about the nervous system, right? Yes, my quads can recover, my chest can recover from session to session, but is my nervous system actually recovered? Okay. Because I can have a tanked nervous system and, go in and into any session and I can squat, I can bench, I can deadlift, I can do whatever I want. Everything will take a hit because that's the central hub, right? And everything flows from it. So, so that's the first point, is we want to make sure we're in an environment where we can express strength the best. And that expression of strength is going to be towards the end of that block, because the block is set up that way. Every week potentiates the next week and the next week and the next week to what we call a top week. And then after that top week, we go pretty much over and above what we can typically recover from. And then we call something a deload that comes after that, where we allow ourselves to recover a little bit over and above, just because of that hard final week that we've done.
Okay.
So that's essentially the kind of nature of what a block would look like. It's really just about being able to express strength on one day or 1 week of that entire cycle, and having every week prior to that kind of build up on that ladder to be able to get there. And when we get there, it's obviously going to be a lot of novelty on the body. We're going to have a lot of recovery needed from that training. And then the week after that, we kind of take it a little bit easier.
Okay.
It's not always needed, but for the most part, we kind of structure it that way just to be sure. Anyway, but goodness, volume, intensity, all of that jazz. The most important thing is knowing what it is that we need to be doing. It's pretty simple, right? The biggest rule to powerlifting is specificity. As with anything else, we need to be squatting to get better at squats, right?
Fair.
I'm not going to go run a marathon every Tuesday so that by Thursday I can deadlift better. It's just, it's from a logical standpoint not going to work. So we need to be in the environment that's going to help us to practice well, get better at the lift itself. So that needs to come into play. And then we're talking about, okay, how much volume should we be doing on this? Well, firstly, the amount of volume that you can recover from well enough to handle the adaptations. Meaning, I don't just want to recover from something. I want to recover and make adaptations and then only do the next session, if that makes sense.
Give me example of what you mean by adaptation.
So when we train, we experience a sort of damage metabolically, structurally, to the muscle tissue, to the joints itself, etc., etc. Inflammation builds up. We can kind of like work our way back up to baseline where we are recovered, but we don't want to get back to baseline. We want to get above baseline. We want that room for adaptations actually
I understand.
to occur over and above that where we can handle more next time around. Otherwise, we're just going to run ourselves to the ground, just recover, just come up for breath after being like shoved down into the water over and over and over again and not actually see gains. So
I think I'm doing that. I'll be honest with you.
a lot of people,
Yeah.
look, here's the thing, right? Nowadays, people know how to work really hard, and that's a really good quality to have, but it needs to be concentrated well, meaning we need to know how to apply that hard work the right way, because anyone can come into the gym and just destroy themselves. That doesn't make you better than anyone else, because anyone can do that.
I'm so glad you're saying that, dude.
That's where the whole smart training comes in. It doesn't mean that, because smart training is inherently hard. It's not that it's smart training or hard training. It's no. Smart training requires hard work, but the goal isn't to kill ourselves. The goal is to make improvements. So yes, it's going to involve hard work, but it's going to involve a plan and structure to be able to get to the goal that we want.
So I'm just trying to make this as relevant to examples that are like crystal clear that I see in a gym, right? Am I doing it, again, quote unquote, correctly, if like today I'm going to do chest and I decide I'm going to do all my warm-ups for 15 minutes, I warm up my shoulder, my rear delts, my front delts, all that kind of stuff, warm up the lats a little bit, warm up the triceps, the forearms or whatever a little bit. I'm lying if I said, yeah, I do that every time. I spend half an hour on the bench really getting in some heavy, hard graft sets. After that, I go into my accessory stuff. Then it's my flies and my dips and some dumbbell and lots of stretching, lots of time under tension.
So usually what someone would tell you is by process of elimination, which I wouldn't suggest, where they go, okay, you're doing 20 total sets in your Monday session. Let's try 18. Let's try 16. No. Why are we doing what we're doing in the first place? If you're benching, you say you spend half an hour. Let's say you do 4 sets. Okay, I'm not sure how many sets you do, but let's say 4 sets. Why 4? Why not 5? Why not 3? Why not 1? Why are we doing what we're doing? So the question would always need to be, what do I need and how much of it do I need as well? And always in that order. So I need to bench to get better at benching. So what am I going to do? Well, I need to overload the tissue to be able to make metabolic and structural adaptations. Okay, I can do that with 1 set. Why do I need to do more? Well, we also need practice. So I do 1 big set, what we call a top set, and then our back down sets, which is what we call it in powerlifting. We drop down the load usually, and we expose ourselves to a little bit more repetition, because the repetition is also only there for practice. So I can do 1 rep on my top set, on a back down set. From an overloading standpoint, that's really all I need, because I just need to expose myself to the absolute load, which is the amount of weight on the bar. The reason I do more is for, number 1, practice. We can go into the nitty-gritty of other things as to why we do rep sets versus just 1 rep at a higher weight.
Okay.
There are reasons behind that as well. But purely, we want to do 1 overloading set. Sometimes there's reason for more, but usually 1 hard set is good enough. And then we've got our back down work for practice. And then it's purely just practice and execution. And if you're not doing that, if you're just going through the motions, that's also going to be pointless. So we do as much as we need, minimal effective dose, or maybe a little bit more. And we don't really need to do any more than that. If you go and do your other dumbbell presses and accessories and do dumbbell flies or cable flies or whatever, and you do like 3-4 other chest exercises, my question would just be, why? Do you want to walk out feeling like I've worked my chest? Or do you want to do enough to make adaptations and call it there?
I'll try do that 3.5 plate set 3 times.
Okay.
Because in my limited understanding, strength would be me doing 8 reps on the first set and then matching.
Okay.
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You can break that apart now if you want.
So, I mean, it's good. Look, again, no one has all the answers. I was about to say, I don't have all the answers. No one has all the answers.
Yeah.
We just don't know as much yet. But from my standpoint, I would say if you are trying to match, let's say you've got 3 sets, right? And you do 3 sets of 8 reps for every set. Something is dropping down, because if I do one really hard overloading set, I will be experiencing some level of fatigue somewhere going into the next set and the next set and the next set. And so if you're matching with the same reps, it's either a harder 8 reps for your second set, or your first set just wasn't as hard as it should have been.
Oh, I like that take. You should have gone heavier, Josh. Okay.
So you know what I mean? So it's kind of the idea of, that's why we build up to what we call a top set, is because that is when we are at the like prime environment to be able to, again, express strength, because we can't express a whole lot of strength when we are fatigued. So again, we don't want to delve too much into this whole fatigue. I can't. It's like you can still get productive work done. That's why we continue training. But is it as productive as that first set? Well, theoretically, no. So, I mean, that's the same thing with warming up, right? I would challenge you to be like, cool, maybe next time we can see if we can drop one of those warm-up sets. Because why do we warm up? Well, we want, obviously, the actual warming up of the muscle tissue, the like high temperature environment. We want a lot of blood flow. We want to feel that technique, get our nervous system ready. Anything more than that, we're just kind of wasting our time.
This moves us beautifully into the next topic I have for this section of the chat. But okay, so we go. Let's say we do one less warm up. We get to our top set. We smash out a top set. We do our what was the terminology used for the sets after your top? Back downs. Back downs.
Back offs, back downs. Yeah.
You get into your back down sets. Now my benching's done. Let's say I move into accessory work. Do I face my accessory work with the same format, or is accessory work then built differently?
Typically, it's built differently just because the accessories will bring you to a different goal.
Okay.
But, I mean, that's something to establish as well, right? I would ask you, why accessories?
Well, I would assume my benching is for strength and my accessory is for muscle mass.
So it can be.
Okay.
Right? So there's also ways in which we can drive up very acute strength in particular muscle groups with accessories, which I love to do. So let me give you 2 examples here. Let's say I do something like a dumbbell press. I would say a dumbbell press would be better utilized for hypertrophy's sake than something like, let's say, a machine press. I would say a machine press, funny enough, people would kind of think of it differently. I would say a machine press, something either selectorized or plate loaded, would be more appropriate for strength. Reason being is because when we put ourselves in a very unstable environment, like a dumbbell press, again, because it's an unstable environment, we can't really express like that level of power through the nervous system as much as we could in a more stable environment. That's why, I get a lot of hate from people, funnily enough, for doing a Smith machine bench as an accessory or variation, whatever, however you want to view it, because it's a Smith machine, like it's not, it's not free weights. Yeah. But what we're doing is we're putting ourselves in a more stable environment, because if you go lie down on a Smith machine and you coming close to failure, all you really need to do is kind of push in roughly that direction. It doesn't have to be like precisely like angled at this level to be able to, finish the rep. You just need to somewhere along that line press as really hard for you to produce as much force as you need to. Where in a dumbbell press, you need to like aim for the right like drop down point and the right direction to press in.
Okay.
So with something as unstable, which is not super unstable, but something as unstable as a dumbbell press, I would say use it rather for hypertrophy than for strength, because it is an unstable environment. So in that regard, we can lower the the total load that we use. We do a little bit more repetition. We do get a little bit more metabolic stress. We do have the mechanical tension at play, and we work close to failure. And we get really good stimulus for hypertrophy. But for a strength perspective, we want either the competitive lift itself or a very stable environment to really overload the muscle that we kind of want to improve strength on. Same thing with the leg extension. It gets a lot of hate, but it's like if you sit there and you like absolutely like hammer the super heavy set, I think can't move anywhere else but up. So
whereas in a hack, if I'm trying to be quad dominant, there's so many other factors contributing to whether my quad is actually getting the absolute load required for growth.
Well, not necessarily. I would say hack squat is a fantastic thing to utilize as well. Okay. That's why I love it so much, is because, I mean, think about it. If your back's against the pad and your shoulders underneath the pad and your feet are like really stable in this one point, nothing else is really going to move. Your hips need to extend, your knees need to extend, like your glutes and your adductors and especially your quads, they have to work to be able to get the weight up. Nothing else is really going to do that.
In closing into this topic, I want to ask on science-based lifting.
Lovely.
Because this is a very trendy thing at the moment. With my favorite comparison to make to explain this to people that don't understand the trends of this industry, a Jeff Nippard versus Sam Sulek.
Right.
What is your take on science-based lifting? Because I know that there's a place for it.
I think the psychology behind it is very important, meaning how the attitude at which we approach these two things. I mean, just with your body language and expression, right? Which is like, I understand, and I sometimes like do the same thing, where we go, you know, the hardcore,
it's the best
heavy metal. It's like it's associated with like really working hard.
Yeah.
Where the science-based aspect is like a little bit more
dainty.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
But the reality is, regardless of the way we approach it, it's like what science-based lifting actually is referring to is what is the reality of what's going on in our body. So I'm not going to sit here and say that I'm a science-based lifter or science-based intellectual. Like, I would say both apply as long as they are doing what we want it to do. Because on the one hand, you know, the science-based kind of idea is based on literature. So we go, okay, we did studies here and there and all of these meta-analyses and whatever, and we came to this conclusion as to what works and what doesn't work and what works better than other things. But at the end of the day, we also have to realize that all your science papers, all of the literature, all of the experiments that people did, people did it. And people have bias, whether they like to admit it or not. So at the end of the day, we really just need to be cautious and take with a pinch of salt everything that we read or expose ourselves to, because we never know what sort of parameters have been put in place that we are not aware of during this experiment. For example, we see all of these things of like, oh, we get greater muscle mass in this rep range or in that rep range. Meanwhile...
Glad you brought that up.
So, you know, but I had a conversation with someone the other day, someone that really knows what he's doing, but he mentioned, he's like, nothing over 10 reps is beneficial. Like, it's not going to do anything for you. You need to go heavy enough to go lower than 10 reps. And I was like, cool. So if I sit on like a skull crusher and my elbows hurt the crap out of me with anything as heavy for me to go less than 10 reps, what's the point? Like, I can't push myself anyway.
Problem, Taulu.
So I will do higher reps then, because I get fantastic stimulus. My experience with it is logically putting me like in the right direction, and there are no literature to suggest that there's no way to build really good muscle. There might be better ways. Yes, the lower rep range might theoretically be a little bit better, but that doesn't mean nothing else works. So that's also to be kept in mind. It's like the practical application of how we actually introduce this into our training. But at the same time, you know, we look at all these research papers and whatever, and we don't realize the parameters that it's been done in.
Yeah.
So, for example, there could be a paper suggesting this is better for hypertrophy than that, and this modality is better than that. And then we go, wait a minute, we were just looking at natty lifters here. We weren't looking at enhanced lifters.
Ooh.
So you see what I mean? There's certain things that are so ingrained into our heads as to what assumptions are kind of ticked off with all of these research papers that we forget, like what environment all of these people were placed under, whether they were beginner lifters or have been training for 10 years. Like those things could really be different. So again, we just don't have enough information to make definitive statements like that because we just don't know. But at the same time, then we have the other group of people that walk the walk and they had a certain experience. And again, that's also pretty limited because if they had gone a different route, could they have done better or worse? Maybe. We don't know because they've only walked one walk, right? So that's also the kind of aspect as to like, yes, this worked for me, but maybe something else would have worked better. We just wouldn't know until you try it. But anecdotal experience is also something to take in, because if I am experiencing better gains with this rather than that modality of training, yet the research suggests that that way was technically better, it's like, oh, what do I do? Well, at the end of the day, you need to do what's working better for you. Because it doesn't help I justify everything that I'm doing because of research papers and because the science says so, but I'm actually shooting myself in the foot because I'm not getting the goals that I actually want.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. It's a really tough, or what feels like a very tough situation, because you're going, I mean, that's prime example. This works for me. This is what the papers say. What happens for me in my head is, this is what I like doing. This shit I don't like too much, but I get told I have to do it. But what happens with that is my intentionality goes out the window.
I mean, I definitely think that a person's ability to push themselves, that's another realm.
Yeah.
Because we call it the RPE system. So I don't know if you've heard of that.
Where you go from 1 to 10.
Yeah, so RPE 10 just means like absolutely till failure. Like I can't do another rep. RPE 8 would be 2 reps shy of that. So 2 reps left in the tank. RPE 6 would be 4 reps left in the tank, etc., etc. So for us, when we program an RPE 9 for an accessory, I see people do this, and just from, RPE is completely subjective, right? So it's your interpretation of intensity. So the fact that I can tell from an objective standpoint that you are not pushing yourself as hard as you could be is like, that's an even over and above message to you to be like, you can really push a lot more. So just purely for the fact that I can tell you that, because you should know before I do. Anyway, besides the point.
Okay.
People do that and they're kind of like, I think I've got roughly around 1 more rep. And then I ask them, well, if you had a gun to your head, how many could you do? Oh, no, like 4 or 5.
Well, here's the gun, motherfucker. Yeah.
Like, how many reps can I do? Not would I do.
Yeah.
It's how many reps can I still do? Like and here's the tricky part is sometimes I would get a response of like, yeah, but I'm tired. I've been training for XYZ. And I'm like, well, maybe you're doing too much. If you get to your 7th exercise and you can't push yourself to the absolute extreme, are you actually doing productive work? Or are you just getting more reps in because you want to feel that it's been working?
We feel that you're the hardest worker.
Well, exactly.
Yeah.
The point is not walking out of the gym tanked. The point is walking out of the gym knowing that you can have the best improvements for next time round.
Next topic is gear.
Lovely.
I had to go for it, right?
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier doing studies on natties and not fully taking into consideration people that are enhanced. So I wanted to ask you a blanket statement before we get specific on steroid and gear use, right? Help me with this, because what happens is every single one of my friends, bar literally 3 or 4 people, are taking gear.
Right.
Is there a very big difference? People might think this is a stupid question, but I promise there's use for this. Is there a massive difference between someone that is natural and someone that is enhanced?
Is there a difference? Yes.
Okay. In what context? What is the fundamental difference?
There are a few. I would say primarily a person's ability to adapt the musculature. So that involves recovery, that involves growth, that involves all the dealing with the metabolic stress. The thing is, when we talk to enhanced people, and I mean I'm enhanced, when we talk to enhanced people, they want to feel morally justified with what they're doing.
Why?
Because everyone wants to be better than the next person.
Okay.
Which is, I mean, we were talking about it earlier, right? Powerlifters tend to want to train at a commercial gym because they want the eyes. They want people to see what they can do. This is so like out of context. Not really, but I can't remember exactly what happened, but they did the study the one time, not with regards to training at all, but they asked a group of people, I think it was something like whether they would want a job where they earn something like 200,000 Rand a month. I think it was in dollars, but it doesn't matter. Let me just use Rand. 200,000 Rand. Sorry, let's make it more realistic. Something similar to, let's say, 50 grand a month, and every employee that you're working alongside, all of your co-workers, get the same amount, or 20,000 Rand a month, but all of your co-workers get 5,000 Rand a month. And 50% of the people said they would rather get 20,000 Rand a month because they want to know that they're getting more than their co-workers. That's a lot of people's motivation, is they just want to know that they're doing better than other people. They don't care like what the standard is. They don't really care how well they are actually doing objectively. They just want to be better than other people.
That's crazy to have that point of view. Like,
But it comes naturally, right?
yeah.
Sometimes people don't even think what their motivations are. They just...
Can I be 100% honest with you with what my motivation is, especially with the enhanced thing? That's a beautiful example you gave. My motivation, I like knowing when people are on gear, because when I see them in the gym, I go, I just need to beat that person, and I'm doing really well.
Look, at the end of the day, there's also the idea that, I mean, when we talk about any sort of training or gear specifically, at the end of the day, genetics plays a role. And enhanced people can say what they want. Natty people can say what they want. Like, your genetics plays a big role. I mean, there's a reason why some people go on one cycle and they blow up. And then you think to yourself, clearly my gear is fake, or something's wrong. Or, like, you have to realize that genetics is a thing, and everyone has been handed a deck of cards that maybe look a little bit different to yours. And that's fine. Like, I think the best thing to do, and I'm speaking like I'm preaching to myself here, at the end of the day, I think what the better thing to do would be for any person, including myself, because I fall short tremendously with comparison, is being like, I don't really care what other people do. It's about what I am doing and how I'm improving. And I mean, at the end of the day, you need to ask yourself, why am I doing this at all? Because, you know, I ask myself, why do I want to be strong? And there's a lot of reasons why I'm involved in the sport that I do, and I want to be able to, hopefully through this as well, be able to serve people well and help them. And if I've got any sort of selfish ambition towards anything that I do, I'm going to question myself. Because why? What's the point? Anyway, that's a whole nother avenue.
No, but that's a beautiful point you make as well. It's important that people know that, because especially someone like yourself, you give beautiful justification to why you're enhanced, to why you lift, to why you started a gym, to why you're in the community. And I think that's important. Your why behind anything you do is going to, you know, determine the outcome of that thing you do. And you'll only learn that once you get there, you know?
But can you imagine getting there and going, oh, this isn't so great?
Yeah.
And that's the problem that a lot of people, I mean, that's why midlife crises
Nailed it.
exist, because people go down a road out of like motivation that's maybe not objectively good, and then they end up in a particular place and they go, oh, what was the point of all of that?
Yeah.
And they freak out.
if your natural level of testosterone is always the, determine of like, oh, should I, shouldn't I? If my natural level's at 10 and I take gear to boost me to 13, if I go off, it sits at an 8 and it sits at an 8 permanently. I'll never recover back to 10 by myself. Is there truth in that?
Well, it depends what you mean by yourself, because...
As in naturally recover to a level of where I was prior to use.
Well, it depends what you mean by natural. So here's what I'm saying. So here's what I'm saying is people go down this road of like, if a 45-year-old... Okay, let me not offend anyone here. If some auntie that asks you if you're natty, and you tell her, yes, I'm 100% natural, and she finds whey powder and creatine in your cupboard, and she goes, oh, you're taking all of these,
that was my mom.
Supplements.
Yeah. It's
like, you know what I mean? So the question is, what do we consider as, because, I mean, we take things into our body all the time. I mean, all medication is unnatural because it's synthesized. Anything that's synthesized is unnatural. So I know what people mean when they say natty or not natty. It means like hormones and peptides and all of that stuff. Or maybe not peptides.
Most people lie as well, right?
Well, absolutely, yeah. So I know what people mean by that. But if you're asking me now, can I get back to normal test levels naturally? I would go, you can get back to normal test levels through well-prescribed medication or like even over-the-counter supplements. Yes, you can, without needing to take a particular off-label PCT.
Okay.
It also depends on your blood panel and what's actually happening biologically, because you potentially might be able to do those things, and then it's like, oh, things are not getting better. There's maybe some other issue at play that maybe does require something more specific and something a little bit more leaning towards, I guess, unnatural or enhanced. But it's also individual based. So when you do take exogenous testosterone, your body will stop producing its own because it's getting it exogenously. So yes, at the end of that, you are in a state of like your body's not producing its own because it knows it's getting it from an external source.
Yes.
But a lot of people do and can get back to normal, healthy test levels by starting to produce their own eventually after they've come off gear. So your body can do that theoretically, but it's also what your experience is as an individual.
Well, I'm thinking like, let me go for the most flippant extreme example I can think. Nick Walker. Surely that guy's taking a shitload of stuff.
Surely.
We don't know. But we can
assume, yes.
Yeah. When you're the size of a F-250, chances, right? If he stopped, does he not have to take tests and whatever for the rest of his life?
Most probably yes, but I don't think anyone can definitively say.
Okay.
But 99.99% chances are he would need to take a baseline TRT.
Because I've heard from, again, this is just stuff that I've heard. Bodybuilders from in industry, especially once retired or once stepped away, will comment in on, you'd be surprised at how much stuff some people are doing, but you'd also be surprised at how little some people are doing, right?
Yep.
Where, again, as you said, genetically, right? It depends what you are.
Yeah.
I might decide to take tests and I take 250 or 400. I don't know where you fall outside of technical TRT. I think people blow those lines a lot.
Well, absolutely, yeah.
Like, I'm on TRT, and they're blasting like 800, and I'm like, not really, dude, yeah.
I mean, look, it's we like to call it a cruise. I think that's the direction that people are going into. It's like the amount that I'm staying on as like a baseline. But the official term TRT is replacement therapy. So it's like replacing what your body should be producing as a healthy individual. That's usually a lot lower than people make it out to be. I understand why people say I'm on TRT. What they mean is I'm on a typically seen as low dose that is sustainable, but it's a little bit higher than I need. But that's not the actual term TRT.
Okay.
They just use it as like I guess we're calling it TRT then, 200 milligrams a test a week.
Or maybe to justify, like you said, the moral
That it's okay.
aspect.
Yeah. I mean, right?
Because a lot of people, you'll say, are you natural? And they pump in growth hormone, insulin, and test. But because all three of those occur naturally in the body, I'm natural. And I'm like, motherfucker, you're putting on 10 kilos a month.
Yeah, no.
Like, nah, dude, you know? So it's blurred lines, right?
It is blurred lines. But it's very easy to unblur the lines. It's just look at your blood work. I mean, there are other things, tests that you can do as well. But look at your blood work. I mean, we assume that like this testosterone or like this ester or that derivative of testosterone or whatever gear that it is I'm taking, this does that and that does that and that does that completely objectively to a person's body and like biological system, where we have this assumption that every person's body is like this like independent variable. It's like, no. We need to not just look at what that's doing, the gear, we need to look at what our body's doing right now, and then we need to look at what our body's doing when we actually take the gear.
Okay.
And kind of keep up to date with responses, because again, like genetic factors come into play, and we need to see how our body responds as well and be able to manage those things, because some people can take 500 tests a week and they just have the most crazy side effects and they just cannot tolerate it. And then you have people that take 2 grams of gear a week and they're like, my blood work is great, I'm fine. Obviously, there's a lot of things that blood work doesn't show us. It's always a risk to take gear. It's always a risk because we don't know everything, again.
Okay.
But looking at the things that we do know, people's response is very, very different.
Is there link to gear use and increase in cancer cells?
That I have no idea, and
Okay.
I'll admit that, yeah.
Okay.
I think
Okay.
most probably from what I have overheard, I wouldn't be surprised, but it's not something that I've gone down.
Okay.
I don't know.
Because that's also just, I mean, it's the infertile thing. It's the recovery after. Can I go back to normal? It's the cancer debate. It's all these kinds of things that are the questions of whether people decide to do it or not, right? One of them I wanted to ask you on was just a peptide versus a hormone, just for my own understanding. I've never really been able to decipher between the two. And then I want to go into as well how to actually phase a cycle. In your advice, how should that process look? Yeah.
Okay, so peptide versus a hormone. A peptide is basically just a chain of amino acids. So for example, technically creatine is a peptide because it's comprised of particular amino acids. Again, like that's the thing. When people talk about peptides, we understand what they mean. It's like that little vial that you buy online, etc., etc. The
Still
TB500. I mean,
unnatural.
some people say like peptides, TB500 and BPC. It's like there's a lot more out there than just that.
Literally wrote those down.
Yeah, but it's like there's a lot of them. But from the definition, it's just a series of amino acids in a chain. Obviously, you get a very, very long peptide, and up to I think it's 50 amino acids, it becomes an actual protein.
Sure.
So that's basically what it is. It's a very, 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 very small protein.
Can I grow muscle on peptides?
Absolutely.
Because I understand it as for recovery and for health. I never understood it as burning fat, building muscle, getting strong.
Well, again, it's like the same thing as, you say, can I build muscle using peptides? Well, yes, it depends what peptides you're using though.
Okay.
I mean, it's, I'm trying to think of a good analogy here, but my brain is blank. But it's a vast, there's a lot of things. Can you grow muscle on growth hormone? Yes. Can you grow muscle on TB500? Maybe, but most likely no.
Okay.
So it depends what you're taking as well.
Are peptides safer than steroids?
For the most part, on average, and what we've seen, yes.
Okay.
We don't have, it's a lot newer kind of realm that we've brought into the research and into practice. But from what we've seen, it is most of the time actually pretty good. And when I say good, I mean like pretty healthy. There are certain things that we can actually do for our health. For example, people mention growth hormone. They go, like growth hormone, big tummy and
Big belly, big jaw.
Yeah. But at the end of the day, growth hormone is just like testosterone. Is the older you get, the more your growth hormone levels drop, and you need to TRT it. You need to replace your growth hormone levels.
Okay.
So a person in their late 40s, late 50s, whatever, male, that needs to replace his testosterone, it's quite justifiable for him to replace his growth hormone as well.
Okay.
So, but growth hormones also, it's not really something to be like freaked out about. I would say people's response to growth hormone so instantly is very similar to some Afrikaans tannie looking at creatine and going,
Fair point. Yeah.
it's similar.
The perception
like
of it.
Anything that we have an assumption or opinion of that we haven't gone to actually study,
Just an opinion at the end of the day, right?
well, an unjustified opinion.
Yes.
Because you don't know. You know, I have the same, I feel like I gravitate towards this, but it's the same thing in a different world, right? People go, I'm not here to push anyone's buttons, but people go, I'm an atheist. Really? Why? Oh no, I just don't believe in that other garbage. It's like, really? How much, have you ever read the Bible?
Yeah.
No? It's like, oh. So what is your grounds for making that conclusion? Because the atheists that I know, the real atheists, are people that went down the road of discovering what's happened there historically, blah, 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 gotten all the information and made a conclusion. Where you just blindly going, I don't believe because whatever. It's like, we need to know what we're talking about to be able to make a conclusion that's justifiable. You can have whatever opinion you want. Is it justifiable?
Different case, eh?
Anyway, let's carry on, yeah.
No. That was a great example as well. Can I develop dependency on something like BPC?
We don't know yet.
Okay. Because I'm thinking like if I've got elbow pain and I locally use BPC for my elbows, let's say, which this is a very current case that I'm dealing with. If I stop using, does the elbow pain come back?
No, because the BPC will aid in recovery. So there must have been like a particular amount of damage that we've now justified to use the BPC for, recovered, and then recovered. If you go and do the same stuff over and over again and cause the damage all over again,
Understandably.
it's like breaking your arm. It's like, if I stop wearing my cast, is my arm going to break again?
No, unless you break it.
Well, unless you go and do the same.
Yeah.
You know, so it's the same sort of idea. I guess.
Okay, fair.
We don't know if your body will stop. As far as we know, your body continues to produce its own BPC in the gut, even if you do take. But we don't know long-term effects of peptides just yet.
Okay.
At least not the newer ones like BPC and TB500. We just don't know yet because people haven't lived long enough
To see
to
results
actually see. Yeah,
or consequence. Okay.
exactly. Yeah.
Hormones.
Hormones.
How is that different from a peptide?
So funny enough, something like growth hormone is a peptide and a hormone, right? Growth hormone. So there can be overlap. It's not like two mutually exclusive things. A hormone is just what your body secretes. Goodness. I can't believe that I can't remember this, but but an organ in your body will secrete the hormones into your bloodstream. So again, it's not mutually exclusive things. It's like, like growth hormone. It's a peptide and it's a hormone at the same time. A peptide's function isn't inherent or isn't tied to it being a peptide, and a hormone's function isn't tied to it being a hormone necessarily. It's just like just describing something based on certain events. So yeah, it's not necessarily like hormones fall into this category and all that they do is XYZ, and peptides fall into that category and all they do is XYZ, and they're completely like two different things. It's like, no, it's like things can be described as many different things.
I understand what you're saying.
So it's just, it's a bit more vague. It's not as like,
How to do a cycle.
Okay, before I get into any of that, don't go and do a cycle because I've explained how to do one.
Yeah, this isn't us suggesting that you do one anyway. This is just like...
It's like some natty dude sitting out there and going, oh, so I have to go do one now.
Cool, right now. Okay, like...
TK said, this is how, so I'm going to go and do it.
Don't do that. It's purely just for knowledge's sake. I feel like what happens as well, I want to clear up a lot of gray area because I will use the fact that other people do gear and I don't as excuse and as reasoning as to why I can't do certain things and they can. I think everyone does that. Also, I just want to put knowledge out there as to this is what people that are making use of gear, this is what they're doing.
I would disclaim that just because a certain type of gear exists doesn't mean it's justification to have to use it in a particular setting. So, as an example, we'll get into this, but just because trend exists doesn't mean there is a scenario where it should be used.
Interesting. Okay.
I would make the case there is no scenario for trend to be used. Don't use it. Like, that's my opinion. And again, like people think like it exists. So in what scenario would I use it? If it's not the scenario that I'm in now, in what scenario would I need to use trend? It's like, no, the answer is no, don't.
Really?
So what I'm saying is there's a lot of stuff out there that people have synthesized to see what it does. But now that we know what it does, it's like, cool, we don't need it actually.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So yeah, when it comes to kind of developing a cycle, in my opinion, I would say the best and safest, because those two go pretty hand in hand, the best and safest way to go about it is minimum effective dose. Take what you need to see immediate results. You take X amount, which might be for some people 50 milligrams a week. Some people might be 150 milligrams a week. For some people, it would be 500 milligrams a week. I can't tell you how much that is. I wouldn't say start with 500 milligrams a week.
Yeah.
Whatever it is that you decide to take, you start there, whatever that minimal effective dose is, and you start titrating up as you go, depending on what your blood panel looks like and how you respond, what the side effects are. And then from there, slowly but surely, after a period of actually seeing it through, deciding, okay, I'm going to bump the dose up and then bump it up. Obviously, there are time extents in which to run something. I mean, I wouldn't say just keep bumping up for an entire year. That would be a little bit silly.
Yeah.
I suggest getting going with a certain amount, minimal effective dose, and then titrate your way up from there. So starting whatever that looks like, and kind of building up. You don't want to do it for an incredibly long time. You know, some people cycling all their life, but keep your eye on your blood work. See every time you push levels up, you know, how you're responding. It also takes time, right, for however much you're taking to kind of get into your system fully and all of that. So you need to be aware that you need to kind of see something through for a while, and then checking out what the bloods look like, see if you're healthy. I mean, it also doesn't help you go get your blood work done and then things aren't looking good and you go, oh, but the plan was that I eventually get here. Because a lot of people do that. They're like, okay, for X amount of weeks I'm doing this much, and then X amount of weeks I'm doing a little bit more, and then a little bit more, and they have this whole thing planned out, and they get like a third of the way through, and then bloods aren't looking good. And they go, okay, let me just take this extra thing to deal with that, and then that extra thing to deal with that. And they're kind of like patching up to make sure everything is fine, but they're still pushing. It's like, no.
That's terrifying.
I mean, it's very, very normal. Very normal, yeah. But it is unfortunate. Look, I would say the best place to start is testosterone.
Yeah.
I would say the only reason why you would look into anything else is because of deleterious effects of more testosterone. So, for example, if you run, let's say, start running with 200 test, and then you bump it up to 350, and then you bump it up eventually to 500, and then you bump it up to 650, and by 650, you're like, oh no, I'm seeing a little bit of like negative side effects in terms of estrogen, or in terms of this, or in terms of that. Then looking at, okay, instead of going from 500 test to 650 test, maybe I can do 500 test, and something else that's not going to cause estrogenic side effects as much so that I can then add on. So that's the only reason for deviating.
Okay.
Right? There are obviously also certain products, I guess, that work really well anecdotally for some people than others. For me, I mean, I'm very open and honest about all of these things. For me, that's DECA.
Okay.
So I would run test and a little bit of DECA peak cycle, and that's about it.
Particularly because of strength and powerlifting, you feel that that's the best?
I feel stronger, but the water retention helps me quite. I get very water retentive from DECA. Helps me quite a bit. It fills me out nicely. I can feel nutrients in my body are being delegated well.
Okay.
If I can put it that way. I feel fuller. When I get my meals in close to the end of the day, I feel pretty sharp in the mornings. Like things just feel great. My training goes well. I obviously have like a little bit more joint lubrication, etc.
Yeah.
Like things just feel really good. I could very well just take more testosterone. For myself, I have incredibly high estrogen for some reason, even on very low doses of testosterone. So I deal with that through other means. But estrogen is a problem for me. Yeah. I've zero gynecomastia. It expresses itself in different ways, more so up here.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And if
Fucks with your
if you chat to people close to me, they have seen.
Really?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's bad. I become
Emotional.
I become a woman.
Really?
Yeah, not to offend anyone, but
Yeah.
I kind of think very emotionally.
Sure, dude. And you can feel the difference?
Most of the time, yes. Sometimes it was needed to be pointed out, and then I kind of click. It's like a light bulb moment. Like, oh yeah, this is very unlike me. Why am I so reactive? Why am I so sensitive? Why am I so, I just get emotional. Like
Really?
the smallest things, I'm like overthinking everything, and this person hates me. And,
Well, dude, that's me
Yeah.
all the time. So I know how you feel. Yeah. Maybe it's an estrogen thing. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know.
But going to like test my blood work all the time, I mean, I would be running what I call a cruise. And it's just like through the roof estrogen.
Sure.
Like just through the roof. And so I needed to
You got to counter that.
seriously deal with that, yeah.
Shit, interesting, dude. I didn't know that. And that might not be the case for everyone. Other people might be dealing with other shit that
Absolutely,
comes
yeah.
up through it. Yeah. I want to get a lot into the powerlifting community, diet, food, all that kind of stuff as well. But obviously, we've gone way over our hour. And I really want people to listen to this full episode. So if it's okay with you, please come in to do a
Absolutely.
part 2.
Let's
To everyone,
do it.
we will do a part 2 of this. These cameras are about to die as well. So what I want to do as well, I'm going to get a super athlete from Super Mushrooms for you.
Okay.
And bring it to your gym. Give it a go. Tell me what
Cool.
you think.
Lovely.
I go a couple sprays before every time I train.
Okay.
Phenomenal. I dig it. I'll bring that across to Genesis.
Like a mouth spray.
Yeah.
Interesting.
It's also got like a dropper that you
Okay.
can use, one of those bad boys.
Nice.
Incredible product. Thank you, Super Mushrooms. I'll bring that across to the gym for you if I can check you
Awesome.
on Saturday or whenever it is we get
Cool.
to it.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
thank you for your time, Bugger. Thank you.
Thank
for coming
you,
and
man.
doing
Thank you
this.
for having me.
Appreciate you.
Awesome,
man. Such
brother.
a pleasure.
Cool.
Please hit the links below. Go check out Genesis. Incredible community that Taulu has built there. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I will put all of Taulu's socials below as well. If you have any questions, if you have any interest into the community of powerlifting, of bodybuilding, of weight training in general, please get hold of Taulu. He is incredibly informative within these spaces. So, Bugger, thank you so much for your time.
Thank you,
Appreciate
man.
this a lot.
Till next time.
Sick, dude.